Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're back again with a day in the life of an entrepreneur. And this time we have Rahul with us. Rahul Tyagi, he co founded Safe Security in 2012 along with Saket Modi and Vidit Bakshi. With a master's in computer applications, today he is a thought leader in bridging the gap between the people element of cybersecurity in organizations. Rahul is the key executive responsible for developing the Safe Me platform, which is a unique mobile first approach to people security and awareness. Wonderful. With this app, Safe Security aims to re engineer cyber consciousness for individuals. Rahul has been featured in Fortune's magazine 40 Under 40 for his contributions. Thank you so much, Rahul, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Vandana. It's always a pleasure to have you and to have a conversation with you. So thanks, my pleasure.
Thank you, Rahul. Rahul, we want to know more about you and your journey to be an entrepreneur. How did you start? Where did you start? And especially cybersecurity. How did you get into it?
So I think there are many answers to this, but the right answer is I think curiosity is something which was the key element for me to enter into this field. And I think when I was in my university days, so there is a platform known as which takes care of the university stuff and all attendance. So I hacked into it, and then I was caught. And but unfortunately, the chancellor was very good. He told me, "Would you like to work with us?" So along with my studies, I was fortunate enough to work with one of the developers in the university and all. So I think that was the foundation for me to really enter into this field and look at very professionally instead of just like a hacker is trying to hack into something for curiosity purpose. But that was, I think, the founding stone for me to look this career as a professional career to look up to. Yeah.
And how about you starting as an entrepreneur? How did that journey started? How does this idea came in? And I know there are a few other founders that you have with you, Saket and Vidit. So how did that happen? Like, how did you all meet up? What happened? We want to know that story.
Yeah. So I think we when we were in college, I guess, so Saket and Vidit started the organization. So I joined them after 6 months, and the journey for the venture was, if I have to brief you on that, what is exactly the problem statement, what we saw and how we transformed. We started as a training company, and then we moved to services. Then we became a product company, and what we are doing with the company, the problem statement which our organization is addressing is like we are creating a new category in cybersecurity, one, and that is known as cyber risk quantification. And when we started, we realized that the cyber risk management practices followed by the largest of the largest businesses globally are somehow broken. And despite of investing, billions of dollars and hours of effort, still they are not in confidence of, they don't have the confidence to say that how secure is their businesses. So this is the, I think, cybersecurity practice we are trying to develop, and they have mainly, I think, the problem statement we are trying to address have three challenges which I think you can relate to. One is that most of the vectors in an organization, like people, process, technology, they work in a silo mode. So technology is being taken care by some other team, or people part was taken by, or maybe cybersecurity product is taken care by something. So they don't talk to each other to give you a holistic picture. What is the security posture? This is the problem statement we have seen a lot in our customers when we used to do services, and then we thought what we can do about it. So along with the siloed one, second problem which we saw was it was that most of the industry is on reactive responses. So once the attack will happen, how the incident response plan should be. So the focus is more was on how to fix the things when it happens instead of predicting when it can happen. And the last, I think, the problem was, which is the biggest problem, I think, which is the reason most of the boards are liking our product and taking the value out of it, is because we are putting a business context on the security posture. So your board can understand in a very easy manner that what is the security status of my organization 360 degree, and even your stakeholder, your shareholders who are not technology geeks, but they still want to understand. So I'll just give you a small example. Like if I ask you, what is the battery status of your phone right now? You can say it's 5%, 10%, 20%. You can still quantify it, right? You don't need to be an engineer or a rocket scientist to understand what is the status. But in the same manner, if I ask you, how secure is your smartphone? You can say you have a anti-endpoint solution, you have an antivirus, but there's no quantified answer for that. So this is the, I think, problem statement which we realized 5 to 6 years back, that there is not a singular language to translate security understanding to the entire hierarchy of an organization from L1 to L7 or L7 to L. So how a CFO will understand what is the security posture and how much budget he needs to give. So CISO and CFO is always having a fight on that he needs the budget, but CFO may or may not understand why he needs the budget. And even after giving the budget, what is the value add we are providing to the organization? So holistically, this is the problem statement which we saw in most of the customers, and after talking to them for sure, and that's where we saw that I think let's catch this problem and solve this problem. So and we are fortunate enough to have a global share on that part on this problem statement with a not that much competition still now. Yeah, Vandana.
Very amazing. So, how does your typical day look like?
Well, I usually begin my day, I think, by spending 30 minutes in the morning with my family over I think, tea, coffee, or whatever, or maybe a walk, because um, being a co-founder of the organization, by working at different time zones, I think the morning is the only time I get with them. Unfortunately, I want to spend more time with them, but still, that's the time I start with. And then I try to catch up some news while eating my breakfast. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan, and though it's not hardcore cybersecurity, but I really intrigued by the questions he asks and other stuff. And there are some other, I think, shows I like last week with John Oliver or something, in case they have something popped up. And then if I have to make it more fun, then I'll go to Elon Musk tweets and see what's going on with on his Twitter feeds. So that's how I start my day usually. I want to know what's happening in the cyberspace also. And thanks to Twitter, of course, your interests are pretty much aligned by the AI to make show you something which you really want to see. And once the work begins, I think it's usually I think peppered by with lots of calls across the India in the first half, and then the global team it comes to the picture in the second half. So almost I think like I always say, entrepreneurship is a lifetime commitment. So you need to spend at least 12 to 15 hours a day. I'm not saying every day, but something to really capture all the things which are there in the plate to really get the things done. And because you don't want to be the bottleneck of most of the things, which usually the founders become at a time. They want to do everything by themselves. They want to, so segregation the duties to the right teams is something they do. And in the last, I think I try to go to gym and run at least thrice a week whenever possible. I don't want a six pack abs, but definitely it helps, because when you go straight 17 hours, 18 or 15 hours a day on computer, your muscle needs to be a little bit wiped so that you can feel your body once again. Otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult to sit and especially we are like 100% working from home. So definitely, I think this is required. So that's
Yeah,
how my day even now works like.
yeah, totally. I can totally relate to it. The way we are right now living in a virtual world, so it becomes even the more important.
True.
And while you're working on all these things, making sure that your health goes right, I am sure there are certain concerns which comes into your mind when you start your day, or there are certain items that you have to do. So how do you balance that out, or how do you handle those things?
So I think there's a very simple answer to that one, and I think, and this is something for all the entrepreneurs who are starting their career. I think so. Before I sleep, I plan my next day. That what are the five top things I need to do? They are the most important ones. And when I sleep with that thought. And when I wake up in the morning, it's already in my unconscious, my brain mind space that what I think need to do. I think the concerns, I will not say it's the right word. I think it's a gray area where you do not know what to do when you wake up. Then you start planning your day. So I think before I sleep, the good part is I plan my day, that what I need to do next day. And this is a kind of a culture in our company, because when you end the day, you need to spend half an hour before you close down your day to plan that what are the things you need to do. And definitely there is some dynamic factors there in your existing checklist, but still majority of the critical work is that you need to spend time upon. So I think being in cybersecurity, the work actually never really sleeps, and but when you enjoy what you are doing, I don't think so there is any concern, to be honest, because there is no gray area. You are very crystal clear of what you want to do and what you especially not. So if you plan one day before, I don't think so there is a concern when you wake up in the morning, unless and until there is a customer problem arises here and there.
Yeah, right. I agree. And while you take care of these problems, I am sure there are new challenges that are coming up each month, each year. There are new things which are coming up. And especially in the past 2, 3 years, we've seen that the trend in cybersecurity is changing. So, what are the trends that you feel is changing right now and people should adopt or organizations should adopt?
I think the biggest challenge, if I have to talk about in a cybersecurity domain, core cybersecurity domain, not the entire tech domain, I think this is the time where the proactiveness and the guesswork has to be defined and has to be cracked. If you see the history of cybersecurity domain, the investment which is being done, it's so chaotic in the cybersecurity entire ecosystem and architecture that it's a 200-page report. You need to go to the board or to the CISOs and all. So it's very complex in nature. And now I think Gartner has also recognized that this is a time when risk quantification is something which becomes a very important part from your cyber health from point of view. If you want to go for a cyber insurance also, that how you will determine the premium on the basis of a score, that how secure you are. And that is it's just like when you go for a health insurance, you need to prove that what is the status of your health with some numbers. It can be your hemoglobin, it can be your BP or whatever. In the same manner, in cybersecurity domain, if any company wants to have the cyber insurance, that what exactly is the parameter. So I think that parameter is being defined now by a lot of companies, including us, in terms of giving a US score. So I think from cybersecurity point of view, predictiveness is something which will be there. Cloud ransomware will rise for sure in the upcoming time, which is not yet in the picture, but definitely happening. It has started happening, especially in the smartphones, because that is the next track. And then instead of mining is becoming the next problem statement, because there's no global law enforcement on this one. And if you get frauded by a scammer who stole your credit card information, you can report somewhere. But if someone is mining your phone's hardware to mine some bitcoins or something else, that is still is a gray area. So I think that is being attracted by the criminals. And overall, for the organizations, I think the business aspect is coming to the cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is not an IT problem anymore; it's a business concern. So now the boards, the C-suite is concerned, and I think it's becoming the number one problem. What is in today, and now they know that if they want to invest money into cybersecurity, they want to have a very, very crystal clear picture that what after spending this amount, what is the value add which is there. So I think the next trend is something when board and the C-suite will be taking more interest in terms of simplifying the understanding of cybersecurity investment. And I think that is something we are trying to also solve and bringing same to the table. So yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, very interesting. And especially when you mentioned about cybersecurity is a business problem, not just a technical problem, because if it impacts an organization, it just not limited to one business unit. It is the whole organization. If a breach happens, the whole organization gets impacted, not just one business unit or one person.
Absolutely.
So it has to be taken as a business problem. Wonderfully said. Rahul, I also wanted to know about your responsibility, because an entrepreneur actually wears a lot of hats, from marketing to HR to whatnot. So what all hats do you wear and how do you balance all of those things?
So I think I have an interesting answer for that, and it's in Hindi that being an entrepreneur, you should know the skills from C to C, chaprasi to CEO. So I think from a sweeper to the board meeting, taken care, the person who can take care of board meeting, I think you should know all. And I think after every quarter to something, my hat changes. Previously I used to audit, then I training, then services. Now I'm taking care of marketing in some part. So it changes as per the requirement. When you see as a founder that this is a problem in the organization, then you don't have the skill set, you have to develop that skill set to get the things done. So I think that would be the right answer for everyone. So being an entrepreneur, you should know from chaprasi to CEO what are all the checklists which is required. You never know what are the things which will be required for you to do. Yeah.
Right, I agree with you. You have to take care of everything that you can think of, and be active at the same time. Be available for everyone around and do the task. Yeah,
But just
wonderfully said.
one thing I want to add, and that you cannot scale for a longer time of period, because when you go with, like we have 180 people now, so definitely I have to be the not the one who will do everything by himself. So we have great, we call them safe stars. So they are great, having the great responsibility, and they're far better than me, I can tell you. So that's why I think that's how I think you grow. But definitely from base, you should know everything.
Yeah. So if you're teaching your mentees or people who are budding entrepreneurs or your juniors, what would be three lessons you would want to impart them based on your experience?
So I think my only suggestion is, if you see that I'm very well connected, I'm one of the very, maybe I'm not, I don't want to say I'm bragging, but I'm a person who is very well connected even with my competition. Still I don't consider them competition. We are like, the pie is so big, and the entire Indian ecosystem or global ecosystem sharing their part in their level best. So I think the competition, if you're doing with within the cybersecurity organization, I think that's a bad practice. It's a great value add every company is providing on the table, and we should respect each other in that way. And I think the first thing I want to tell a person who is starting a journey as an entrepreneur in cybersecurity field or any field, so the competition is that it should be with you and your team. You set a goal such a high that even your competition will not even think about that, and then you keep on reaching that, and that thing, I think that byproduct you will reach there where you want. And the second thing, I think the passion is very, very important. And I think every entrepreneur will say this, that find your passion. But I'll always say a quote that when your profession becomes so when your passion becomes your profession, then it will be looked as a fashion. So if you like something doing, and suppose if so I like playing games. So if I become a professional gamer, for example, I will not feel burdened when I am playing game, because this is what I love. And that is the same thing in cybersecurity. You need to find what you can do 24 into 7, which will not make you burdened, but you will enjoy doing it. So some people say that you must be burdened because a lot of work, 16 hours, 17 hours. And to be very frank, I still feel it's the first day in my company. I enjoy doing work, and I don't see this. So you need to understand and find out that hook which help you to really spend time without having a burden on your shoulders and having fatigue, and which really excites. And it doesn't mean to be only and only cybersecurity. It can be painting, it can be singing, it can be playing guitar, anything. But you need to go to as deep as possible. And second thing, I think don't shy away from making mistakes. I think they are your best teachers, to be very frank. And I always say to my colleague that do 365 days mistakes. Do 365 mistakes, 365 days, but don't repeat your mistake. So like in Hindi, we have a quote that when you do a mistake first time, that's a galti. And when you do the same mistake, that becomes guna. और गुनाह की सजा होती है, right? गलती की सजा नहीं होती. So if you're doing the same mistake again and again, then definitely you're a stupid person. So that there is no good comeback after that. So you need to be way more creative to mess things up again and again, but in a different manner. And that is being that I can take care of. But if you're doing the same mistake, that's the problem. Then you will lose the respect, and you will lose the, I think, confidence in your superiors to give you something else. And the last, I think, which I can share, that There is a saying that you are one third of five people you are surrounded. So you need to carefully find those five people whom you are investing most of the time. So I think I was fortunate enough to have great customers. I think they are our biggest mentors, I must say. And if you see 80 to 90% of the product which we had developed, it's not that we have thought that these are the features should go into the product. We listen to our customers very carefully and they tell us what to do, what they need. And that's where you become the, de facto standard where you're trying to do. So I think that circle has to be good. And again, I'm a first time entrepreneur. Everyone is a first time entrepreneur in all the founders we have. And we were fortunate enough to have that circle, very, very good, very, very good circles from mentors like Joan Chambers and other people. So be very, very careful in choosing those five people around you who can add on into something, and maybe you can add into something. And I don't think so age is a barrier. Even a 5-year child can teach you something which maybe you will not have seen before. So I think that the eye curiosity eye should be there. So and I think with most of the time the ego factor becomes a problem. So the first thing, I think the last thing which you need to do is that you cannot get the work done with your ego. Maybe people be afraid from you doing the work, but that will be a one-time job. After that, they will not. So you will be surprised to know that we did an exercise. So every quarter, what we do is myself, I talk to 180 people, 101 session, and I ask about what they like about the company, what they don't like about the company. And then on the basis of those feedbacks, we make our new policies and whatever the processes we have. And I recommend everyone that you should see our culture deck, that how the culture in our organization is. It's a 110 slides or 20 slides, I guess. It's on a jobs.safe.security, and you will see that how a startup culture should be. And we are inspired by Netflix, we are inspired by HubSpot's culture, and we are trying to do the same thing there. And I think if you're starting a company, that can be a great foundation for you to set up a great culture in the organization. So yeah, Vandana, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, it's mesmerizing. Thank you so much, Rahul. It was wonderful. Especially never shy away in making mistakes. Don't repeat your mistakes. And always
I have done a lot, to be very frank. You can ask my founders and they're like, dude, this guy. So they're always looking at me that he's gonna do something again. So I think that is the real learning for my life, I must say.
Right. And I think that what takes you to places.
Yeah. Maybe, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rahul. It was wonderful interaction with you. I am sure we have a lot to learn from you, and we would connect back again with so much more information. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Vandana, and thank you so much for everyone who's watching. Please subscribe to Vandana's channel and hope for the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vandana. Good day. Bye.